particular video. Got a good one for you today. I think that all of them are good ones. So here we got, people put this stuff out on the internet, right? They do it for clicks and for likes to make money, and they don't do any due diligence or any type of research or anything along those lines. So it takes people like myself to come behind these fools and try to clean up what they put out there. So forgive me, I have my window open, so you may hear cars going by, some birds chirping and things like that, but I'm not going to close my window because I like the breeze. So I try to do these professional. I don't have a collared shirt on today, so again, forgive me for that, but I wanted to kind of get this out there. I was kind of relaxed and chilling out and all that. So here we have, right, this allegation that this off-duty FBI agent illegally detained by police has the last laugh, right? So he's got a bunch of emojis down here and be strong and laughter. I'm not exactly sure what that purple one is, but all that. So right, we're going to watch this. It's 37 seconds. As with anything else within the law enforcement field, I know people don't like to hear this, but there's got to be investigations. We don't know how doctored this particular video was, how many edits there were, how long ago it was. There's so much more to it, right? What the officers were looking for, who they were looking for, names, right? I'm not even sure if we can tell what city this is. It might be on one of the officers' patches, but all that. So before you watch these and comment on them, right? Understand that this is not the full and whole story, right? Understand that it's not the full and whole story. So keep that in mind as you go through all this. So we're gonna watch the video, 37 seconds, and we'll watch it.
Get out of my face, man. You guys are harassing me. Yes, you guys are. He's harassing me. Why are you harassing me? You're assuming I'm someone I'm not. Am I being detained? Yeah, you are. For what? Because I think you have a warrant. You think? That's an illusion. You think. You're wrong. We're not going to play this game. You guys are not going to try to manhandle me. Hey, yo. Hey. You guys really had nothing else to go to college for but be a cop and harass me? Call your supervisor. Call your supervisor over here. You guys are the stupidest motherfuckers I ever met in my life. My ID's in my back pocket. Y'all got watch today. Watch how funny this is. Look at it. Oh, what does that say? What does that say? Oh,
wrong guy. Wrong guy.
All right, looked like there was a Rochester, Minnesota patch on his arm, if I read that correctly. So I'm gonna back it up here a little bit. All right, so as we saw from the video there, there was a Rochester patch on his arm, and the officer, starts to talk to him. He's got a circle mark, as you can see right around here, about his arm being touched and detained. And you gotta, people think that they understand what the police can do and what they cannot do. So there's two different levels that I've discussed on this, and you'll have other officers discussing on this. And I don't know if you guys can see this. There's 963 likes. This is really, and they're just doing this for views. 18 million views off the FBI agent, right? Oh my God! I hope that this can get some traction here. I really hope that this can get some traction. It'd be nice to get these amount of views and all that, but this is not it. There's two ways that police officers can stop you, and this would go for federal agents as well. This is the constitutional standards, right? Reasonable suspicion and probable cause. They cannot stop and detain you. Police officers, agents of the state with authority to arrest, cannot stop you for your progress, cannot detain you, as the man asked, whoever this guy is. They cannot detain you unless they have two standards. One is reasonable suspicion, the other one is probable cause. If they have probable cause, then that means that they have enough evidence to believe that, number one, a crime has been committed, and then number two, you did the crime, and that they're going to detain you and take you down to headquarters to fill out paperwork, get you processed, and make you go answer for the crime in a court of law. In other words, being arrested. So let's talk about reasonable suspicion. Reasonable suspicion means that the officer believes that you have committed a crime. If I would give this percentage, and I've heard all kind of different percentages that have been in the so-called literature. If I would give a percentage, I would say that probable cause, people would say 51%. I would say more like 70%. Right? You know crime. You know a crime has been committed. Probable cause. You know a crime has been committed. A window's been smashed. domestic violence, somebody's been beaten up. Somebody did it. What reason do they have to believe that you did it? Right? In the domestic violence case, the person said you did it. You got fingerprints, DNA, all this other stuff. So that is my own personal. You'll talk to different people, they'll give you different ideas. I would say that reasonable suspicion is more around the 51%. I would say that. Why do I say that? Because you have it doesn't even have to be a crime has been committed. You're just a suspicious person in a place and a time that is suspicious, right? What are you doing here at this time of day? There's nobody else here. Time of night. You're wearing a trench coat. It's 90 degrees out, right? All of these different things that make that would cause an officer's hair to stand up on the back of their head and say, there's something not right about your presence in this location, or that you're up to no good, and things along those lines. And this is where we get into grounds of Terry v. Ohio, in which officers can do Terry stops, or a pat down of your outer clothing to determine if you are armed with a weapon. Not looking for fruits of a crime, but they're looking to see if you're armed with a weapon. So these officers, and I'm going to take this on the grounds as what they're saying is true. Now, I talked to an FBI agent. I had a text message conversation with an email with someone I would, I guess, consider a friend who was in the FBI, and I asked her specifically about what's up with this. Does this guy have to identify himself to police officers, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But in this particular case, right, this is so dangerous because people think that they watch videos like this. These 18 million people will watch a video like this and then become empowered to think that this is the way that they could and should act, and they're going to get face planted by some officer, right? Because in this case, the officer says, "I believe that you have a warrant." So let's watch it slowly, and I'll stop it and I'll break it down and tell you, what's going on here.
Yes, you guys are. He's harassing me. Why are you harassing me?
Okay, harassing me. Asking questions, trying to determine who you are. You also have to be very, very mindful of the state that you live in, because if a crime has been committed and they are detaining you, and you are a suspect, and you are a person of interest, or however it's phrased in their legislative language, and you refuse to identify yourself or pull out identification, be it a passport, be it some state form of identification or a driver's license or something like that, and you don't do it, that is a charge. So you better know who you're talking to and what state you live in and the laws concerning that. So they're not harassing you, asking you what your name. Of course, we don't have all the background of it, already had said that, but are you harassing? This is not what harassment is, right? Asking someone in their name, what they're doing here, you look suspicious, the owners of this establishment have called, yada yada yada, right? So this guy is refusing to identify himself.
You're assuming I'm someone I'm not. Am I being detained? Yeah, you are. For what? Because I think you have a warrant. You think?
Okay, that is enough right there. I know people don't want to hear this, but I think that you have a warrant. Now, in a real good situation, here's what I will say. In a real good situation, an officer should do their due diligence. Maybe if they can't take a picture of the person, call up headquarters and say, do you have a picture of this person on file? What's their name, date of birth, height, weight, what were they last seen wearing, things along those lines, right? Try to get as much descriptive evidence, descriptors as possible to determine if this person is the right person, right? So, but yes, that is, and that's why I talked about reasonable suspicion. I think that this person has a warrant. I've dealt with a person who looks like you, or I heard about you on the radio, or there was a bolo, a be on the lookout for, or there was what we would call a quick pickup. We would call a pickup, right? All this type of stuff, right? And I think it's you. Now, should the officer have done if this is true and accurate case, should the officer have done a little bit more to be certain? Yes. But again, this is a person who's claiming to be an FBI agent or has some type of stuff in their wallet and all that. And I recognize that some things are not being verbalized and this may be played with and all that, but I'm making this video so that the general public out there doesn't get these crazy ideas in their head that you can just go around doing what this guy has done. That's why I'm doing this video, right? Okay. So he's harassing me. You think, and now he's saying you think. You're not sure, but you think. Again, remember what I said about reasonable suspicion. I have a reason to believe that you have a warrant, right? And depending on the type of warrant that somebody has, you had to be very, very careful. And I had this debate when I was working with someone, and depending how words are written, right? In Connecticut code, I haven't read it in a while, but when I was working, right, I think it was a lieutenant at the time, it said officers shall arrest, or felony arrest. If you will look for the definition of felony arrest, and I challenge anyone to go look at this, not just for Connecticut, but whatever your state is, felony arrest, officers shall arrest anyone for a felony, yada, 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 yada. However it was worded. Didn't say anything about a warrant. Didn't say anything about how long. So if you know somebody has committed a felony, then you can arrest. Is it better to get a warrant? Obviously, and all the time. Obviously, and all the time, to be sure, right? But if you know somebody committed a felony, right? Maybe you went to work on a Friday night and there was a shooting, and the last words out of the person's mouth was such and such did it, and then you go to work, and then you leave work, and then maybe you're at a casino or something like that on a Monday or Tuesday night, and you see so and so. You know that this. You know. In the scenario I gave, that you are absolutely definitely positive that this person, for whatever circumstances, committed the felony. You know they did it. You see that person a couple days later. Maybe you call in and say, hey, listen, you know, I see this person. I know he committed a burglary or murder or whatever the other night. It's a felony. What do we do? Well, the warrant hasn't been what we would call walked through yet, hasn't been signed yet. But you know, so as you as a police officer, remember, officers shall arrest. This is, I'm trying to give a lot of different details here. Officers shall arrest. Should you let that person go? The answer is no. That person committed a felony. Is it better to make sure to get warrants to do whatever? Yes, but you're not going to let somebody who you know, not believed or really reasonably be certain, and all this other type of language. I know they did it. Maybe they caught him on video. Maybe whatever. We know this person did it. The car, everything's on video. The car, the clothes. Everything's on video. I know this person did it. I see him at a store or restaurant a couple of days later. You call in and say, man, there's no warrant on file. I'm not going to let this person go. I'm going to detain you, right? I'm going to detain you and or arrest you. So I hope I've given a good example of what all that means. So this person, again, the officer has reasonable suspicion that this person committed. That is enough. That is enough. He told him he is detained. Now he told him whether, and here's another thing that I want to get through people's heads. I want to get through people's heads because this person, you think that you're watching this, or you're watching this, and you think that if an FBI agent can do this, then I can do it. And I'm telling you, you're going to end up maced or OC sprayed. You're going to end up tased. You're going to end up bitten by a dog. You're going to end up face planted on the ground with missing teeth. I'm telling you that this is going to happen, and I'm trying to prevent that if you just listen to me. You think that this guy told him, no matter whether it was legal or illegal, you listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. You as a citizen or anyone else, FBI agent, another police officer from another jurisdiction, do not have the right to resist arrest. You do not have the right to resist arrest. You can resist brutality, but you cannot resist arrest. Your redress, the way that you get back at them, is to sue them in court. You cannot fight the police officers. You have to keep that in mind. So that's why this videotape bothers me so much, and why I reached out to my FBI agent friend, or retired FBI agent friend, to determine what happened here. You know, what's up with this? So let's go on. He's using force. He already touched him, right? I couldn't pause in time. He used force. Here's another level of force. You've been detained. They're using force. You cannot resist this force, even if you think it's unjustified. Let me say that again. You think that the force is unjustified. You think that the force is unjustified. You know that the force is unjustified. I'm not the person they're looking for. It doesn't matter. The officer told you you were being detained. You must comply. And now they're using physical force. Number one, their mere presence is a show of force. That's level force number one. Number two is escort techniques, which they're doing right now. And they've touched you, and they're using physical force in order to detain you and put you in handcuffs. You do not have the right to resist that. You don't.
not gonna try to manhandle me first.
Resisting. You're not gonna try to, and now he's bucking, moving his hand, and now he's bucking. That's more force.
Hey, yo. Hey. I really had nothing else to go to college for, but be a cop and harass.
Now they got him handcuffed, right? It's obviously been edited out, whatever they had to do, maybe stop resisting, whatever. Now they're gonna go through his pockets and all this kind of stuff, right?
Ask me. Call your supervisor. Call your supervisor over here. You guys are the stupidest motherfuckers I ever met in my life.
It's always entertaining when people say call your supervisor. I was the supervisor that showed up, and it's very, I can't imagine, and I'm not saying this to say the cops are covering for themselves, but I can't imagine in the scenario that I just gave you, everything's been explained to the supervisor. You think the supervisor is going to take this guy's case or cause or back him up, saying, you know, let this guy go, you know, take the cuffs off him, et cetera, et cetera. They may do it. I mean, they may do it, but more than likely they're going to back their officers up. And I'm telling you, as a guy who's looking at this as a former internal affairs investigator, these guys didn't do anything wrong. I know you think they did. 963 people liked it and think that they did, and 18 million people watched it. These guys didn't do anything wrong. The only thing they could have done a little bit better is to verify, get a picture of the person, have it sent to their phone, sent to their modal data terminals in their police cruisers, something along that to verify that. They could have done that. I certainly admit that. They could have done that. But once you start resisting and all this kind of stuff, depending on their state laws and depending on when people have to identify themselves and you believe it's them and all this kind of stuff, I'm telling you, you think something's going to happen to them? It's not.
I'm using my back pocket. Watch how funny this is. Look at it.
You could have just avoided this whole situation if you just would have given the ID in the first place. You don't think that you had to identify, but states have constantly been and routinely been telling you have to identify yourself to avoid situations like this.
Oh, what does that say? What does that say? Oh,
Wrong guy. Wrong guy.
Okay. All right. So what I want to do now is I want to go over to, all right, so I want to go over now to this section. And I was this bothered me so much that this FBI agent, or somebody who's claiming to be an FBI agent, had claimed that you know, that they were, you know, whatever, you know, obviously you can't believe everything on the internet. I'm doing that. But this really bothered me. Like, people are not doing their due diligence. And why would an FBI officer act like that and all this kind of stuff? So I'm glad that my friend got back to me from the FBI or retired FBI officer. But I had to look this up, man. I had to look this up, and I wanted to, and she got back to me, and I looked this up before she got back to me, and she said that, as you can see, I'll put it on the screen here, what she said, that, you know, there's nothing specifically, right? Because we're all U.S. citizens, right? We don't have to identify yourself and all this kind of stuff, man. But. And you know, are they not? And I thought to myself, I mean, you're not allowed to. Are you allowed to do that? And listen, I'm telling you right now, if I'm the supervisor on scene and this went down like this, and I get called there, or, you know, even if I'm an internal affairs investigator, I'm looking into this, and this FBI agent acted like this, I'd be writing all kind of letters, man. Get this guy. This guy is horrible for the image of the bureau, right? So I went through a bunch of this different stuff, and this is, you can see, this is the Department of Justice Management Division, right? DOJ, right? So I went to the website there, and I really wanted to understand, you know, what's their code of conduct? You know, how are they supposed to conduct themselves off duty? Because I know officers, almost every office, I would imagine, almost every police department in the country has some kind of off-duty conduct, right? You got to purport yourself in a most respectable manner at all times. So I went through a couple of these executive orders, and we're going to go through them right now. And the first one is, let's see, what do I got here? Ethics handbook, right? Let's see, ethics handbook, right? Ethics handbook, right? So this is a little bit old. It's a little bit dated, but again, this is where I got it from, right? So you can see, right? Download the ethics handbook, January 2017, right? Some of this stuff doesn't need to be updated, right? This is me on the website today. So this is the ethics handbook, right? This is the way they're supposed to conduct themselves, right? Introduction and all this kind of stuff, right? 14 general principles of ethical conduct, and this is for principal ethics handbooks for on and off-duty conduct, summarizes the principal ethics laws and regulations governing conduct of Department of Justice employees. This is all DOJ employees, right? So you scroll down here, right? So 14 principles of ethical conduct. It's got all kind of stuff, right? Don't do anything for private gain and all this kind of stuff, right? And then here's the one that I would, if I'm the supervisor, imagining this guy actually was an FBI agent and I'm the supervisor who's looking into this case, I'm going to hit him with this 14th one, right? Employees shall endeavor to avoid any actions creating the appearance that they are violating the law or ethical standards set forth in this part, whether particular circumstances create an appearance that the law or these standards have been violated to be determined from the perspective of a reasonable person with knowledge of the relevant facts. You got to conduct yourself and purport yourself at all times in highest morals, ethical standards, right? There's a couple other things that I looked on here. I don't want you, that's for the ethics for on and off duty conduct. Right. And here's another one too, right? This one is Executive Order 1237. This one's a little bit old. It's kind of surprising to me that they didn't update it. I'm not trying to pounce on them at all, believe me. Executive Order 12731, Principles of Ethical Conduct for Government Officers and Employees, right? So you got numerous ethical standards here. Right, Executive 12731, right? Principles of ethical conduct for government officers and employees, right? You get down to L here, I think it is. Employees shall satisfy in good faith their obligation as citizens, as they should establish good faith as their obligations as citizens, including all financial obligations, in other words, pay your taxes, especially those such as federal, state, and local taxes or those imposed by law. So at all times, they're supposed to, in good faith, comport themselves as good, upstanding citizens. I think that's all that I could really find concerning that. Here's some more ethical stuff, right? I think this is more about financial stuff. I got a few orders here, right? This is 13989. You can see 13989 ethics commitments by executive branch personnel. Right, you can read through this ethics pledge. I recognize that this pledge is part of a broader ethics in government to plan to design and restore and maintain public trust in government, and I commit myself to conduct consistent with that plan. I commit to the decision-making of the merits and exclusively in the public interest without regard to private gain or personal benefit. I commit to conduct that holds the independence of law enforcement and precludes improper interference with investigative prosecutorial decisions of the DOJ. I commit to ethical choices as a post-government employee that do not raise the appearance that I have used my government service for private gain, including by using confidential information, right? So in other words, when they get out of office, you shouldn't go around, right, and tell all books and all kind of crazy stuff like that, right? And then a bunch of other stuff that really has to do with more finances, right? Revolving doors, involvement in politics and all this kind of stuff, right? So there's a few different things. Summary, executive branch standards. So this is the standard that they are operating under. Standards of ethical conduct, executive branch. And I really couldn't find anything as far I think that what I've already read is the most that I could find. General provisions, ethics from outside, gifts between employees, conflicting financial interests, impartiality in performing, all that. So let me leave it off here with the ethics handbook, right? Principle 14 here. Listen. If you are in a situation where you are in this type of situation and you are an off-duty officer, you are a private citizen, do not resist the police. Do not, make them have to do all this crazy stuff. If this is an FBI agent, he should be disciplined mightily because he embarrassed the department. He embarrassed himself. He did not comport himself as a good, upstanding citizen. He interfered with law enforcement by refusing to show his license or identification. He interfered to the point that he was resisting their justified use of force, right? Or their use of force, right? All this, man, this is bad, man. I mean, this is bad. And again, maybe this guy wasn't an FBI agent. If he's not, if he's pretending to be, he should be disciplined, arrested for that or whatever charge that would be. And to anyone watching this, anyone watching that video, man, you can watch this type of stuff, and you can become emboldened to act in such a manner, and you will end up OC sprayed, dog sicked on you, batons taken to you, face planted down on the ground, tasered, use of force, all kind of stuff. And for what? Because you want to prove a point? Because you want to do whatever? You don't have the right. You don't have the right to resist. Period. You do not have the right to resist. That's it. Let me know your thoughts, your opinions in the comment section. I know people are going to disagree with me, and I know you are. But this is what this. You think that this is a system that and listen, I understand. I understand we can't always trust the government, and I understand that. But the other side of the coin is that these things have been set up, and if you do these things, you don't run into this type of stuff. It could have been this whole situation. To my friend's point, this whole situation could have just been avoided, from ordinary citizens to off-duty police officers, off-duty Coast Guard members, off-duty military personnel. I almost guarantee the military personnel there's got to be some kind of language in there about you got to cooperate with law enforcement. I'm actually kind of surprised at that. It's probably not even on their mind. They just think, oh, okay, yeah, why would you? It's not even on the administrative officials' minds to tell people to have to cooperate with law enforcement. Why should I have to tell my FBI agent to cooperate with law enforcement? Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Hit that like button. Hit the like button.